have something for our podcast.
This is not for us, I guess. Or is this? Is it?
This is not from Olympiacos fans for sure. No, I'm just kidding. I know why Olympiacos fans are mad. I actually picked them in all my semifinal previews.
Kruno Simon jersey.
We got some iconic jersey of legendary Kruno Simon. One and only. Amazing jersey. And that comes from URBONUS podcast fan from Turkey. One great guy, great FS fan. Just brought it to me in Kaunas. He tried to send these jersey like for a few months, but it got stuck somewhere. It was sent back again. So these jersey, they have a hell of a story, not just because of the name on this bag. So this jersey gonna be a nice gift, a nice decoration for our studio in Vilnius, but probably you kind of got confused because now we're in another studio in our headquarters, BasketNews headquarters in Kaunas, with Arvydas Sabonis in the studio as well, with some other iconic things, with Augustas Šuliauskas, analyst of national television during the Final Four, right?
Right.
And without Rytis Vyšniauskas for the second consecutive time. He choked like somebody did in Kaunas.
Somebody did on
Friday,
semifinals, right? Yeah. So nice to have this jersey.
Yeah, so nice to thank
it for us.
To have
thanks a lot.
These fans, yeah, for sure. When we will come back to Vilnius for sure, this will make our Hall of Fame. I know how we call it.
Jersey Hall of Fame.
Jersey Hall of Fame, something like that. Yeah.
It's just so nice to be here, meeting some of the podcast viewers.
Yeah.
And
did you have any chance? Did you have any interactions?
Yeah, quite a couple of them. And even though he's not in the Final Four and FS are not in the Final Four,
he's in our hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a few interactions yesterday. Obviously, with the fans, nobody comes up and says, I don't like your podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
So super cool. I think we have a really nice fan zone, really active one. And hopefully tomorrow it will be even more people there.
Yeah, we will do a live podcast again and Friend Zone studio. I wanted to say Friend Zone, just zone, probably at 2:00 local time.
2:00 local time. So
and I know that one EuroLeague legend would really like to participate, and his surname is Batis. His name is M, but I won't disclose his personality. But yeah, he might have some famous people
huge
out
names.
There. Yeah,
that would be cool if he could make it.
A lot of huge names here in Kaunas. Who did impress you the most?
Yesterday we had the national TV broadcast, and for 5 minutes we got Jonas Mačiulis to come there. Jonas Kazlauskas also.
They're still not the most famous Jonas in Kaunas and Žalgirio Arena.
Yeah, there was Jonas Valančiūnas as well, but Jonas Kazlauskas unfortunately could not make it because of the traffic jam from Vilnius to Kaunas. I think quite a lot of people got stuck there.
That was actually the real reason why Rytis was not on the podcast yesterday, because I also got stuck in that traffic jam. But as always, I try to be way earlier when the show starts, so I managed to make it on time. Rytis didn't. Today we don't have him for different reasons.
A lot of work yesterday, I guess.
A lot of work, long hours of work.
Let's talk about the games of yesterday.
What are your general impressions about the Final Four? It's your first Final Four experience.
Love the games. I love the Olympiacos fans. I mean, not the first Final Four. I mean, covering it, first Final Four. I was in one Final Four when playing for in the Adidas Next Generation tournament.
Which one?
10 years ago.
Shit.
And guess the final of that.
2013. Shot? Oh.
No, 2013 London.
Madrid Olympiacos.
Wow. I could have seen it coming, It's my second Final Four, watching it live. Wow. And it's 10 years later, 2013, 2023. And Olympiacos and Real Madrid in the final.
And I think that was the game when Olympiacos bounced back and they won
in the second half.
Yeah, Spanulis was doing Mirotic in the first half, and then he was doing Sergio Rodriguez in the second.
Yeah, I remember Olympiacos fans were going crazy there in the second, in the upper bowl, just like they were yesterday. And so if I'm a believer in, I don't know how to say. Coincidences or whatever,
Science.
Number symbolism, whatever it is, Olympiacos, are my go-to guys for tomorrow's final.
It was London Final Four.
It was London in 02.
Yeah, I was also there, and I went to youth tournaments. I believe that I actually had a short interview with Arturas Karnišovas because you played in some like weird building, hangar.
I don't know how
I
to
don't
say
know the English
in
word
English.
for it. Yeah, but it was like a tent, big tent.
It seems like a place where
it was a football field actually, I think.
Yeah, and it's also seems sometimes like a place where you hold planes, you know, to fly and not to play basketball in it. But they just changed the football field, which is right next to the O2 arena, into a basketball court, and not good memories there. We lost all 3 games, but at least we got there by winning, you know, the qualifier.
Who was the main starter of that tournament?
I'm trying to remember now. Nikola Rebic, I remember him guarding him. Point guard for Crvena Zvezda was there.
No top prospects?
I don't remember Damian Inglis because then I went on to play the European Championship, and I remember much more names from there. You know, Porzingis, Damian Inglis was the big star for France. Gershon Yabusele was there, but playing not that many minutes. You know, I think Peter Cornelier was also in the France team. So a lot of
Madrid
names.
Guys, a lot of symbolism,
a lot of So, but I don't know. I remember the Rebic and I think Dusan Ristic was also there.
Okay.
I just remember because they were playing so tough defense. You know those Serbian
guys,
youngsters. They just
tough.
Pressure you full court. That was quite hard. And we also played Team China and I think one Spanish team. We lost all 3.
Yeah, some crazy memories. Time flies back. Let's start talking about the games, and maybe let's begin from Olympiacos and Monaco. Right? What would be your very, very first impression? Okay, the third quarter, 27-2.
I think we have to start from a little bit before. You know, it's easy to talk about the third quarter only. Okay. So my prediction obviously was Monaco winning it. Yeah. And
you felt confident in after the first half, probably.
I mean, you don't really feel confident after Olympiacos miss so many free throws and so many layups in the first half, but
still being up by 12, you cannot ask for more.
No, it was the perfect first half from Monaco. It was, you know, all the things that I mentioned. They were doing it at a high level. You know, for example, Diallo defending Slukas, forcing him to the right. Everybody else, you know, pushing Olympiacos really up high, not letting them play their offense. You know, no off-ball movement. It was so hard for Olympiacos to even get a shot off because of that Monaco defense. You know, first of all, it was really hard to get the advantage for them. And then when they got inside into the paint, they were trying to pass the ball out. Monaco were so great at flying around the court, not letting easy shots, closing out hard on the shooters. It was so hard for Olympiacos to even get a shot sometimes. I thought Monaco defense did a great job in the first half, and I was like, wow, you know, Monaco are really going for this win. They are doing all the things that they're supposed to do. But that third quarter, I mean, 27-2, and the only 2 points Monaco score are in the fast break situation after a steal. I think Eli Jacobo gets that dunk to score the only 2 points.
After the turnover, actually. It was traveling, actually, by Jordan Lloyd, but it was non-called travel.
Oh, after that steal. Yeah. So they score 0 points in the third quarter in half-court offense. And what I wanted from Olympiacos more during halftime, I said, I want more speed, both on defense and on offense. And they came to the court with exactly that. You know, they were much more aggressive. They were much more poised than Monaco. And suddenly all the things Monaco had to do in order to win, they were not doing anything. Obviously, Mustafa Fall and Thomas Walkup defense and Isaiah Cannon's defense, you know, navigating the screens, going. I said it like he's really good at that. People maybe, you know, see the bad stats, you know, 5 points, 6 points per game, but he's doing an amazing job, you know, being close when Mustafa Fall is waiting in the paint. And Like this is the impression from both games. We all say how guards are winning in nowadays basketball. Hey, but having these two giants in the paint also helps. Walter Tavares did the same in the second game. Mustafa Fall in the first game, protecting the paint. No easy shots. But Thomas Walkup and Isaiah Cannon and their defense, doing the rear view contest, as some say, was simply amazing. I mean, and I tweeted after the game, send the tape of Thomas Walkup defense of the fourth quarter, and to those who voted for Walter Tavares, probably.
Although after
freezing
watching
cold takes, maybe.
After watching Edy play in the second semifinal, I would say that the best solution would be just give it as a defensive player of the year award.
Let's not go into that discussion. They're both amazing defensive players. I think if Barca would have attacked a little bit differently, and we will talk about this later. Then Tavares' effect maybe would have been a little bit smaller. Shout out to both defenders. Practically the defense of Tavares, Walkup, Cannon, and Mustafa Fall won the game for both teams. So,
few notes I have about the third quarter. First of all, Monaco allowed 29 points in the first half, which was their season high. So again,
27
you cannot
in the third.
ask for more to have 12-point lead and to play your best defense. Okay, best defensive numbers of the season. You cannot put yourself in a better position. And Olympiacos, they were 4 from 12, both shooting from 2-pointers and 3-pointers, 9 from 18 shooting free throws. The third quarter, we all know 27-2, but there are a few interesting stats. Thomas Walkup, as I mentioned. I mean, Thomas Walkup defense, we already said enough about his defense, but the way he knows, the way he's able to make an impact offensively without even watching at the rim is just incredible. I mean, this guy made 7 assists in the third quarter only, and most of these assists, of course, were to Mustafa Fall, and we will discuss it later also. Olympiacos made 10 assists on 11 field goals, and this whole
in the third quarter.
Yeah, and just to add to Thomas Walkup case, 7 assists, and Mike James 0 points, 0 of 2. So 10 assists for 11 field goals. And watching Olympiacos coming off the halftime and watching the way they played, it felt like they decided to move the ball more, to drive more, to cut more. And
especially cut more.
Watching them to turn around the game, it was like, this is Olympiacos basketball. I mean, how Kostas Papanikolaou was cutting, how Sasha Vezenkov was finding himself in his usual situations, and how it all started, in my eyes, it all started from Thomas Walkup just driving into the paint and then making the right passes. Of course, the timing of Papanikolaou, Mustafa Fall was also perfect, but this was the whole thing that
the trademark of Olympiacos.
Exactly. A lot of people has to understand they don't need guys to create their own shots. With the off-ball movement, they can create shots from anywhere to anyone. And that was just the pure greatness of Yorgos Barsokos and Olympiacos game.
Talking about those cuts, they had probably 1 or 2 maybe in the first half that they scored off. In the third quarter, 5 times, 5 backdoor cuts. So that's 10 easy points at the rim. Kostas Papanikolaou, Sasha Vezenkov is the best off-ball player, I think, in the EuroLeague. Kostas Papanikolaou is a close second in my eyes. I mean, those backdoor cuts, yes, Monaco players weren't doing what they were supposed to do. I mean, coming to play against Olympiacos, they are moving off the ball. You have to watch the cuts when someone else is driving. When Thomas Walkup is driving the paint, Kostas Loukas is driving into the paint, you have to be alert. You can't be sleeping. You can't allow in a semifinal of a EuroLeague, you can't allow a give and go situation. I think it was Isaiah Cannon passing the ball, cutting immediately, this football play. Pass, cut, and pass back. You can't allow against Olympiacos these plays if you want to win. But that was just, great cuts by Papanikolaou, by Isaiah Cannon, and, converting from Monaco's turnovers. And Thomas Walkup, you said all these great things, 7 assists. I think sometimes he might have been holding the ball for like really a long time. But if you create, after 10 or 15 seconds, 2 points, you can't get mad. And one thing I would love to notice, not only about his defense, he didn't fall into the trap of Monaco, going under those screens. And probably he doesn't feel really comfortable right now with his shot, knowing that he struggled in a quarterfinal series, and he knew that Monaco are going to go under against his screens. He did not fall for this trap. He didn't have a single field goal attempt, but he impacted the game by assist and his defense, and his plus minus on the court plus 19.
Okay,
so that was an amazing thing from Thomas.
I was just a little bit surprised that, particularly in the third quarter, Monaco, they were not going down with the screen. I was a bit surprised because for me it looked kind of obvious. Maybe there was
to go under. You mean?
Yeah. Sorry, under. I thought that it should have been the obvious solution, especially in the first 2 or 3 plays. Basically, it was the same situation. The way they killed Monaco offensively with the pick and roll, walk up and fall, it was foul. It was basically the same play they had, and there was just one moment with the going under, but then Thomas did rescreen and just got himself in a good position.
I think Monaco will look back into this third quarter and think, we completely blew it off. I think they lost their heads in the first couple of possessions. They got nervous. Yeah, experience came into the play there.
Kicks in.
Definitely. After those 3 or 4, Olympiacos and their fans, they were starting to feel it. They were on a good wave, and Monaco completely lost it. And when I see, for example, NBA games, I see the same thing. You are losing, you are getting a couple of buckets, and then you're like trying to score from hard shots. Those mid-range jumpers. And Olympiacos were giving that, the mid-range jumper. But those were not falling. The threes were not falling. And they were, in these situations, you want an easy basket. There was no easy basket possibility because Mustafa Fall played 12 minutes, I guess, in a row. And he asked for a sub 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. He was completely gassed. But in those 12 minutes, Monaco did not have a shot. They had shots from inside, but
not just from inside, they had some open looks, but they just lost the confidence because of the first 7 minutes.
It was hard shots. It was hard shots. Elie Okobo, Mike James, Jordan Lloyd had to try to manufacture something because they don't have shooting around them. And John Brown, Donatas Motiejunas, and Donta Hall had a hard time shooting over Fall in the post, because he is just so tall and you're afraid of him. So those mid ranges were not falling, and on the other side, you get those easy layups after cuts. You get those 3-pointers when you're late, maybe on a defensive possession or so. And Mustafa Fall on the offensive end as well. 12 points, 18 efficiency, 5 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Completely dominated both Motiejunas and even more Donta Hall. Could not do anything. They just passed the ball to him, and he's like, well, yeah, I guess I have to score 2 points again because, they are either fouling, they can't stop me. And
I talked to Mike James after the game, and he made some good points because at the end of the game, I don't remember the particular sequence, but to me it looked like that they actually benched Mike James with 3 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes and 11. And they were down by 9. It's not like the game is over. I was surprised.
It was quite, to me, it was, I wanted to see a reaction there, and I think it was, it said a lot that move from Sasha Obradović to bench your best player in a EuroLeague semifinal with 3 minutes to go in the game, in a decisive game. I don't know. Mike's body language to me, when things started to go south, wasn't really, of greatest ones. Obviously he wasn't happy. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the second half. You can't really blame him or Okobo or Jordan Lloyd that much because it's hard to play when you can help off of 2 guys, and it's like you can really if there are 2 guys that cannot shoot on the same time at the floor, you can even help from Lloyd and Okobo because there are other guys who can rotate from those 2 guys. and Monaco were struggling so bad against it. You know, in the Maccabi series, they were doing the same. Yesterday, Olympiacos did the same as well, and it's just it was really weird to me. You know, back in when it was January or February when Moorman got his contract. You know, term. You know, they separated, and then they took, you know, not a shooter for power forward spot. You know, you have these 3 great guards, and then it's like
but that's actually a very important moment, because we were complaining about their shooting in the front line for a few months already. But that, I mean, the way Moorman underperformed in Monaco was probably also the key, because from one point it could have been a great addition. I mean, having a French player as a stretch 4 after
ideal situation.
Ideal situation.
That makes the most sense out of all signings.
Yeah, when it needs, he can get, you know, he can be physical. He can make important shots. He's a reliable 3-point shooter. But the problem is that probably after playing 30 minutes per game in FS for 3-4 years, maybe, you know, he had his legs run out. So. And he just couldn't adjust. But in this situation, he would have been a perfect player, and then they just couldn't find a good replacement because the market for stretch 4 was really tough, was really dry in EuroLeague.
But I even think, you know, Monaco taking, how to say, maybe a player that is not as good defensively, but just a guy who can shoot. There are definitely guys in the Euro Cup or Champions League, you know, that can do that. And them being a threat on the offensive side and maybe not being as good defensively on the other side, I think it still would have been a plus for Monaco and their offense. It would have unlocked so many potential spaces for those 3 guys to drive, to score, to kick the ball out, to make it a little bit easier. Because right now in every position you have 2 guys basically standing around the paint. So there is no space to drive because there are always 2 guys inside around the basket. And you can't help and stunt even from Kobo, Lloyd, or James, whatever. Doesn't matter who has the ball in the middle. Because you can rotate from those guys standing in, you know, and close them out. So it's really hard nowadays to play offense when you have only, you know, 2 non-shooters.
Monaco in the regular season, they made 32% of 3-pointers. In the postseason playoffs, in the semifinals included, 25.3, 38 of 150. 3 other Final Four teams made at least 10 3-pointers more, which is at least 30 points. That's huge for that level. And that's what actually Mike James said. I mean, I just asked him what this team needs in order to make the next step, because they amazingly, you know, entered the EuroLeague, forcing Olympiacos to Game 5 in the playoffs in the first season, and now making the Final Four. So, you know, what could be the next step that would lead them to the final game? And he just says that some shooting would help. We were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. Either we have to start making some shots or bring in people who can. And I would agree with that. And because looking at their roster and thinking about their roster projection, I really liked this lineup of Mike James, Okobo, and Lloyd on the backcourt. I like Utara as a defensive and a local player. Matthew Strazel, he's still young, although he has defensive potential. It's up to the management to decide if he might be better next year because he's still young and he's improving, or they should look for some different type of ball handler to this team. But in general, I like their backcourt. Then for forwards, you have Alpha Diallo, which I also think that when he will improve his 3-point shots, and I believe that he will improve that area because he can make 3-point shots.
I think he
just lost the confidence from
lost the
Maccabi
confidence
series.
in the end of the season, and you could see it yesterday. You know, he gets the ball wide open in the corner, and his shooting motion is kind of hesitant, and he was shooting, I think, 35% in the regular season, somewhere around those numbers, and he shot, 8%, 7% in the playoff series.
1 of 14 against Maccabi, and now 0 from 2 against Olympiacos.
So,
but I mean, I really believe in this player, one of the best defensive forwards in the league, that's for sure. I've saw reports in France that Edy Tavares is about to join Monaco, another defensive presence. He also can shoot the ball. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Blossom game, although I heard that they like him, so Who knows? Maybe they will just add some depth with Tarpe. And the only adjustments I would do is with the front line. You have John Brown, Chima Moneke, Makundui as a young player, Moteyunas, Hall, and as I know, Jaite is already, he's set to join Monaco the next season, which again is interesting because he's a non-shooting big. So in this front line...
think I love John Brown and Chima Moneke, both great players.
But probably in this situation, you have to choose one. Because what they can offer and what they can bring at the table is very similar. And I would love to have them too. If they manage to have them too, that's great. But probably you have to invest in a stretch four. And basically, you just need to replace one of them. And that would make a great power forward lineup. John Brown, Moneke, and some stretch four guy. And then Moteyunas, Hall, Jaite, I don't know how they're going to figure it out. I don't know what going to be their needs. What do they think about I saw Sasha Obradovic saying great words about Moteyunas, that he was mainly one of the main reasons that helped Monaco to make the Final Four. That's huge. And I've heard that they were really happy with Moteyunas' performance at the end of the season. Dante Hall, for me, he was very promising in his rookie season. I kind of expected from him more in sophomore year, but I really believe that he has a lot to offer. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to make decisions in this category. But speaking of stretch fours, I try to check the best big guys who can kind of at some level stretch the floor. And from the current EuroLeague teams, the selection is not really huge. For instance, Devin Booker, Derek Williams, Luke Sigma, Zach Lidey, Derek Williams, Jordan Mickey. First of all, not all of them are pure stretch fours. They're just number 4 players, basically. And they don't fit that profile that Monaco is looking. But these are basically the best power forwards that's about to enter the markets and on expiring contracts. And I'm not very, fascinated about this short list. And I think that's why Monaco will need to be creative to look for a stretch four in the NBA, in Australia, in some EuroCup, BCL, and some other markets.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have anything to add about Monaco and their roster. I think I agree with all those points. Just one more last note about Olympiacos I wanted to make. To give props to because they were fantastic yesterday, and me choosing Monaco before to win, I think we have to give even more love to Olympiacos. And what fascinated me also was that run was made without Kostas Loukas.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
When you talk about Olympiacos, it's Sasha Vezenkov, Kostas Loukas, and probably Kostas Papanikolaou. And by the way, golden rule: when K-pop plays well, Olympiacos are always winning, because some of the other guys will play good. But if he's also scoring points, like more than 10 points, 12, 14, I don't think I've seen Olympiacos actually lose a lot of games when he plays good.
I think Papanikolaou is X factor of this postseason for Olympiacos. Remember Game 5? He entered the game with 10 points, I think, calmed his teammates down, set the tone for the team in this mentally challenging situation. Now the same, his energy in the third quarter, his cuts, his all-ball play was huge to make that run, to spark that run. He's an amazing player. And I remember that Andrea Trinchieri, when he was asked about the MVP of the season, surprisingly, in his top 5, or let's say he was asked to name 5 players for the MVP award.
This season.
And he mentioned, of course, Vezenkov, he mentioned James, but he also mentioned Papanikolaou, and he said something, this is the quote about Papanikolaou. He decided to put his ego aside and to think only about the team. He's pushing them every single game. He found his inner balance. He defends the best players of their opponents, and it's an MVP. That when he said this, it was April 18th. Even before Papanikolaou got even more cool, so that's huge. And I just remember we had these all great memories, and it brought me back to this Printez's shot final against CSKA. Another huge third quarter comeback for Olympiacos. They just know how to run those things. And Papanikolaou was basically the MVP in that game. I think it was his first Final Four. He was still super young, and he was performing really well. I think he was perfect from the field, because I know that quite well, because we did this retro episode, which I really recommend to watch on Basket News channel. This being retro, probably the best EuroLeague final ever, with Papa Nicolau featuring it. So yeah, it's an amazing journey for Kostas Papanikolaou, an amazing glue guy to have, veteran present to have on your team that everybody else should be jealous of in the EuroLeague.
And his trash talking and igniting the fans are always fun to watch.
Man,
just that run was without Kostas Loukas, and I was like, Olympiacos are winning this game with their defense, and they just have so many ways this season to actually win. You know, they could do it with their offense.
They're
they
the
could
most
do it with
complete
their
EuroLeague team.
off ball cutting. You know, Sasha Vezenkov. Great game by Sasha as well, by the MVP. The other MVP did not play such a great game yesterday, and 19 points on 7 of 14 shooting, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover. Solid overall game, solid numbers. Obviously, it was the other guys, let's say, that stole the show, but Vezenkov did his job in 35 minutes. But that Olympiacos one without Loukas on the court, that was just, to me, another example of how many different ways they have this season to win. And, who knows on Sunday? Just
to add, Sasha Vezenkov.
We will have our predictions probably tomorrow before the game on the live podcast, which will be
at 2:00,
3 hours before the
local time,
third place game.
About before the game, which nobody cares of. To be honest,
it
should be cancelled.
I imagine. Yeah, whatever.
I remember
I
had this
go
conversation with Will Clyburn after the podcast, and he said that it was terrible. It's terrible game because you already feel beaten, and then you just go there just to get kicked even more. So what's the point? And really, what's the point? Vezenkov, Papa Nicolau, fouls.
I think we talked about
Cannon defense,
everything through.
Larenzakis off-board 3-point shot. The snake.
And Thomas walk up on the screen showing this.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect one. And by the way, speaking of the trash talking, watching Olympiacos and Monaco becoming kind of a rivalry thing, I remember, I'm watching Larenzakis and Mike James, and I'm like, these guys probably hate each other so badly. Then there's this Final Four in Kaunas. I'm here at Team's Hotel. There's a night of team arrivals, and we finished our work, and it was pretty late, so more and more players are coming down to the lobby. And I see Mike James and Ioannis Larenzakis just making fun with each other, just trash talking in a funny way, just sharing some insights, hugging each other. Okay, maybe there was no hugging, but I mean, they were really
now you're exaggerating.
I don't want to have problems with Mike. They were really, really friendly, and it was surprisingly nice to watch them, being so cool. And it's just again one of these reminders that on the court they may hate each other, they may be the biggest enemies, but off the court it's different. It's different world that sometimes even some fans should remember that there's life outside the basketball court. So yeah, it was just nice moment because it feels. Anyway, never mind. Let's continue.
Mind?
Let's continue.
Let's go to this other semifinal.
Yeah,
where did you see?
Amazing.
Did you see Nikola Mirotic though in Lithuania?
Did you see Rytis in Kaunas yet? Yeah, I'm a bit mad.
Oh my God.
I'm not that mad on Mirotic. I'm just sad for Mirotic because honestly, he had this label of big time choker, right? And I kind of felt bad that,
which was kind of exaggerated, to be honest.
Yeah, first of all, that's
before
true.
Yesterday.
Last year he had an amazing semifinal game. It was
39 efficiency.
One of the historical Final Four performances, and for both games, Mirotic was just amazing. I think that only Shane Larkin had better numbers in total points and player performance index rating combined. And I was really sincerely cheering for the guy, just to, have his best in the big stage. So watching him to go 1 of 10, making the first field goal with 3 minutes to play when the game was basically decided momentum-wise, watching him missing those good looks. Wow, that was terrible. Really, it made me just sad. If you're coach of Barcelona, if you're a fan of Barcelona, you have full full rights, all the rights to be mad on him, But for me, it was just pure sadness.
Šarūnas Jasikevičius in the post game said they were too nervous. I think that was a spot on comment, and how to put it clearly, I think Mirotic also knows himself that his legacy in Barcelona, his legacy in Europe right now, depends on if he's winning the title with Barcelona, a EuroLeague title. And he plays so well in the regular season. He plays, then it gets harder for him in the playoffs. But when it's a single elimination game, all the pressure are you to perform today in those 2 hours you are in the court. Yesterday, after he missed those couple of shots in the first quarter, you could see him wanting to score so badly and trying and trying and trying. His confidence,
the game too much.
His confidence, your confidence is okay. I'm not a believer that if you miss 3 or 4 shots, you have to stop shooting. No, he's the go-to guy in Barcelona. He has to shoot. But I think the pressure got to his nerves too much yesterday, and that was so clear to me in the second half as well. What was weird, I mean, and he did it with Yabusele and Dek being out.
Exactly.
He was guarded by Njaya, a 19-year-old
man. Kudos to this young 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, who in Game 5 stopped Zach Edy in the first quarter. And I was like yesterday before the game in the broadcast, I mean, probably he's going to start, but can he do the same great job against another, Zach Edy, probably top 5 power forward in Europe and on the offense. And it's Nikola Mirotic again, and Njaya just in 8 minutes completely shuts Mirotic down.
He draw this
so
early
much
charge.
Pressure.
Yeah,
early charge.
Good defensive stops. He was physical. He was
Energy.
making mid-range shots in the other end, and it felt like that was the moment that kind of a bit, shook.
That gave the tone for the game.
Mirotic, confidence.
Look, first shot is really important. If you see the ball go through the net in the first shot or the second shot, you are into the game. Mirotic did not get into the game until the freaking end.
And can you imagine you're facing an 18-year-old kid on a starting lineup? I mean, your matchup, and you cannot nail it. It should be so hard.
It gets to your head, and
for a player who's in his sixth Final Four, where it's all about him performing. As you mentioned, all doors were open for him to perform at the big stage tonight against Real Madrid and against his former team. Wow, so it was tough. But yeah, kudos to Ndiaye, Eli John Ndiaye. Probably we should learn his name even more and more. For me, he's like Usman Garuba of his last season in Real Madrid.
There's always a young guy in Real Madrid that's stepping up every time. It's incredible. What was weird to me though, talking about Mirotic and his performance, no post-ups basically for him in the second half when he was guarded by Mario Hezonja. He got one maybe, and we all know you put pressure on him, you put physicality on him, he kind of struggles a little bit. I think the refs are also allowing more contact against him. I don't know if he's not really selling those fouls quite well or what is it, or he's doing extra so they're not calling them. But the refs allow a lot of contact against Mirotic, and it makes it hard for him. And they were, I kind of missed the more post-ups for him in the second half when he was guarded by Mario Hezonja. But I think we have to go to talk about...
Just one thing to add. You watch Mirotic going 1 of 10. You watch Sartac choking as well. He was 0 from 4, I think. You have your
worst game of the season for him.
2 best stretch bigs going 1 of 14 from the field against the team which has Edy Tavares. And obviously, one of the main key things of your game plan is, to punish them with, stretching the floor with pops. And you have Mike Tobey on the bench. He didn't show up in that game. just 2 weeks ago, he killed Žalgiris in the third quarter with like 3 3-pointers. I believe that Saras will get a lot of blame for the semifinal loss. And to be honest, I think that he shouldn't be the main guy to be blamed off. I don't think that as a head coach with your star player going with 1 of 10, with some other stuff, without having Corey Higgins, your best scorer, best perimeter guy.
They missed him in the fourth quarter so badly.
They missed him in the second consecutive Final Four because last year he came off the injury after missing 3-4 months, so he wasn't himself in the Final Four, and we saw his importance in the first Final Four for Saras when they beat Milan with this game winner. So I'm not blaming Saras, but for me it was interesting. I know that Mike Tobey against Tavares, he might get in trouble, but still, when you have...
Everybody was in trouble.
Exactly. When you have, your guys shooting badly, I think that you have to try Mike Tobey, which he really likes Lithuania, and he killed he nailed it in Lithuania and Slovenia. Exactly.
Look, I agree with you. I guess nobody thought that the coaching staff of Real Madrid will have the advantage yesterday in terms of tactical decisions. I think, Saras players, you cannot say let him down, played bad, Mirotic, Shanley. Underperform.
Yeah.
The right
didn't
word.
Play by their standard.
Yeah, that's a correct.
That's
problem.
a very polite, diplomatic way. But that's true.
But I think that Chus Mateo also, got the upper hand yesterday in the game, and I don't think anybody expected that because that's his first Final Four as the head coach, and we are always talking about how great Šarūnas Jasikevičius is. But to me, yesterday, he made really great decisions. First of all, I missed Barcelona pick and pop action to get Tavares out of the paint. Shanley, 16 minutes, only 1 3-pointer. And I think that wasn't a pick and pop situation. There was one time they played pick and pop action, but Laprovitlo did not pass him the ball, got under the basket and got blocked, I think, or made a turnover when Shanley was open. So that was one situation. Jan Vesely, I watched the tape of the games before they played of last year's semifinal, of this year's, how they were trying to attack Tavares. An empty corner pick and pop where nobody can help. The guard goes inside, pass back to Vesely, and Tavares is in the paint. That's an open mid-range shot. I did not see that yesterday. So I kind of lacked the solutions to bring Tavares out of the paint. And because Poirier is out, because Yabusele is out, Tavares played even more. And that was not worse for Real Madrid. That was way more better because he can play that defense in the paint. Barca scored 10 2-pointers because he was there. So I like those, and I thought what was a great decision as well from Chus Mateo was you put Anthony Randolph at the 5 because Tavares has to get some rest, and he puts the zone that worked 2-3 zone that worked so well against Partizan in the series before, and I know Barca scored some threes off of that, some open threes. But it also they also had some empty possessions as well against that zone, and kind of helped to let's say save Randolph in defense. Hide Randolph in defense a little bit, and also switching defense. Barca really were playing a lot of switch defense yesterday. Anthony Randolph got some easy looks under the basket. Chacho Rodriguez nailed some 3-pointers. Sergio Yui got one, and just Real had an answer for everything. And I think I don't think Barca had or executed their plan B.
That's good. That's a good thing that you mentioned, Chus Mateo creativity, because we were at least several times this season we were pointing out at mistakes that we thought that he did with his game plan, with his matchups, with his decisions. So it's good that we keep this balance, when somebody deserves credit, we try to give that credit. Yeah. And sometimes when we see something is wrong or should be made in a different way, we try to point those things out.
It's not that we're supporting one.
Yeah, exactly.
Some players or some teams,
some fans, they think that we have references, but not at all. Not at all. A couple of things to add before going to Dinosaurs game. Barca in the second half was 3 of 17 from the 2-point range and 5 from 25 from a 3-point range. By the way, we spoke about Mirotic and how tough for him it was getting to his rhythm, how he lost the confidence and how it affected his team. Tavares started the game with 10 points in the first quarter. That's how your best player should perform. We mentioned Papa Nicolau, the way he brought the confidence, the way Mike James was actually helping his team in those difficult situations. In Game 5, 21-point performance in the first half. Maccabi series, Game 3, this hostile atmosphere in Tel Aviv. Leaders has to show up, to calm their teammates down and to set the tone for the game. That's what Tavares did. Another huge performance. His stat line, of course, was incredible.
20-15, 4 blocks.
NBA numbers. That's NBA numbers in the European
draw
courts.
Fouls.
4 offensive rebounds. 4 blocks. 1 block was just even in media tribune. We could get the ball. The way how strong that block was.
But those blocks were not even the biggest highlight to me. I mean, they were all in the end when the game was basically decided. Yeah. And they were highlights, nice to watch. They will make the top 10. But to me, it was his defense in the third quarter, just like Mustafa Fall did in the first semifinal. He was just not letting Barca get easy points under the basket. And on the other side, his pick and rolls, Barca were letting Madrid's players, perimeter players, to the weak hands to the left. But at the same time, the big was backing down because there is a lob threat of Tavares. And one time they got it. I was surprised how Tavares actually managed to, tap the ball there to the rim. But other times, because of his threat, rolling threat, his gravity pulls back the big of Barca. And Sergio Rodriguez or Yui can just shoot those little floaters from 2-3 meters range because of the threat of Tavares. So open shots for them as well open up because of the Tavares. And we haven't really spoken about Real Madrid. I want to give shout out to Nigel Williams-Goss, who played a fantastic series, and I think he's having a great second half of the season. I mean. Yeah. Really like his confidence shooting the mid-range shots, shooting the threes, the way he's playing with such boys in the second half of the season. I think he's been great. I think he's been super important for Real Madrid. And Mario Hezonja yesterday killed the game with those threes.
I know.
Great confidence.
I mean, the game did a great job,
decided.
But the guy who killed the game was the guy. Again, I will never ever again will underestimate some players.
You will do that tomorrow.
Or old players, or players who are even over 33. Because I really sometimes push this narrative that at this age, at this stage of their career, they used to decline, and I'm always looking for some younger solutions. No more, no mas. I mean, with 8 minutes to play, you see the lineup, as you mentioned, with Tavares, Hezonja, and then they put Rudy Fernandez, who is 38, Sergio Rodriguez, 36, and Sergio Yui, 35.
Guys, according to Bibolytics, the best lineup for Real Madrid in yesterday's game was this one. You have Hezonja and Tavares because they played, and then you guess, okay, maybe Williams-Goss in there, maybe Janan Musa is there. No, it's the same Rudy Fernandez,
5 years later,
Sergio Yui.
5 years later, Augusto Šuliauskas will be working as a GM or as a scout for EuroLeague or NBA club, so he will be replaced by somebody. Mike James will be on podcast just randomly. As a regular co-host. Eric McCollum, no, he will be on the NBA ESPN TV. But we will be talking about this 3 guys deciding another Final Four in Dubai, let's say. That's what's going to happen. I mean,
oh my God.
8 minutes to play, you see these guys and you're like, and the game was tied. It was
Can they do it again?
58. So in the sequence of 2-3 minutes, we have Sergio Rodriguez stealing the ball, drawing unsportsmanlike foul, hitting floater, another kind of floater, 3-pointer. You have 9 points in basically 2-3 minutes. He increases the lead by 7, 67-60, and the game is basically decided. Oh, and this run also included assist to Tavares that led to his dunk. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy what Sergio Rodriguez did starting from the game 5 against Partizan. And this whole team, I mean, again, when they were pushed to the ropes, they showed such a huge character. To miss, I even forgot about Poirier. You don't have Poirier, Yabusele, Dek, Corneli. You're down by 0-2 in the playoffs. You have this huge fight. Again, all world is against you. You have no support except from Madrid fans. You again against
they were
Barca,
quite loud.
They were down by 9. I mean, they were in difficult situation. And to recover, to bounce back, to win that game, and now to have a legit chance to win the EuroLeague, wow, it's huge. It's huge.
I mean, we wrote Madrid off last year
way too many times.
Before the quarterfinals, they won. They got written off before the Final Four. What happens, you know? They were written off before the quarterfinal, at least by me. You know, I had Partizan in 4.
Me too.
And, you know, there's this a little bit of asterisk because we all know what happened, and they were desperate, down 0-2, but what happened. Now they are in the Final Four against Barcelona. Everybody writes them off because they don't have 3 front court players who account for, I don't know, maybe 30 points on average together. And they win against Barcelona, the second best defense in the league, the 6th best offense, I think. And they do it quite comfortably. So probably tomorrow they're going to be written off again before the final. I'm not predicting anything, but it's incredible to me what this Madrid roster has been able to accomplish, and with a new coach as well. I mean, I know he was on the bench for such a long time, but you know, it's still a new coach, still a new mind making in-time game decisions. Even though what I love about Madrid and just Mateo's coaching staff, they're all together. There are every time 2 assistants, talking to him constantly. Every time, and just they're making those decisions, I think, collectively, and it shows strength and unity, and that they're if you can say a family, teamwork, and it's really nice to see that they're succeeding with this. So
there was funny story. By the way, in this pod, probably we were missing some English words there and here and there, but that should be explained
that's because
very
lack
easily.
Of sleep is
we started the pod
kicking.
at 11 o'clock at Saturday morning. Most of us went to sleep at 3:30 in the morning because of the work we had to do. That Final Four festivities, in the city center, a lot of basketball people are out there, so you have to embrace that festival. So it's tough. But there's one funny story I have about Kyle Hines, about Real Madrid. I did this BasketNews playoff bracket. We had 3 players, Mike Batiste, Leo Westerman, and Kyle Hines, predicting their playoff winners and also Final Four winners.
But this is before the quarterfinals.
Yeah, it was even before the quarterfinals. So Kyle Hines was the only guy who was correct with all 4 teams. And before the EuroLeague Final Four, I made this survey of players who didn't make the Final Four and their Final Four predictions. And I was like, I have Kyle for Milan. I actually involved Luigi De Toma as well, but I wanted to involve Kyle just because he was so correct with his playoff bracket that I wanted to give him some credit, So, but before this, I mean, when he made this playoff bracket, he not only was correct with the 4 teams, he said that Madrid will face Olympiacos in the final and Madrid will win it all. But again, after the playoffs, we have Yabusele suspended for the season. We have these injuries. And I was like, okay, I should ask Kyle if he sticks to his prediction. And I was like, Kyle, I mean, you're great. It's awesome. You were the only one to be correct with these predictions. But would you like to change? I give you an opportunity to change it because of the reasons.
That was your
big
mistake.
reasons. And Kyle was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I stick with this decision. I was like, okay. So
Shout out to Kyle.
Friday night, we see Olympiacos making the final, then Madrid beating Barcelona. And I was about to go to the apartment that we have here in Kaunas. It was close to 12 o'clock at midnight.
You heard the
and I was like,
notification?
Man,
coming?
I have to text Kyle.
Oh.
And just like a few minutes later, I get winking emoji from Kyle Hines on Instagram. Man, what a classy man this Sir Kyle Hines is. He knows things. He knows things.
He knows something we don't.
Four-time EuroLeague champ, right?
He knows
Those
something
champs,
about
they know
winning,
something about basketball.
They know something, yeah. We should get him on the pod,
That's true. That's true.
To make the predictions and not us just predicting stuff that goes completely the opposite way.
And there's nothing wrong about making bad predictions, Will. We would really like to have you back on the podcast because you were so, fluent, so creative, so bold about things. So it's nothing bad. It's part of our job. We do more bad predictions than right predictions. So,
I mean, you can get them 100% right. So until at least if you are giving the predictions with your arguments, and you really think and you have great arguments and you articulate them well, then there is nothing wrong with that. Being wrong is you can be right 100% of the time. As the same as goes for winning, you can't win all the time, all the games.
If it would be correct, it would be boring.
It would be, yeah, exactly. Then we would probably not watch basketball as much as we like to do.
Very short glimpse at the final game because
maybe let's do it tomorrow on the live pod.
No, another big question. Saras out?
Man.
If you're Juan Carlos Navarro or anybody in Barcelona front office who are making decisions, do you part ways with Saras after the season?
So about the final tomorrow, I mean, should we go there? Let's wait.
That's the biggest question. Probably that's the biggest agenda right now on Barcelona or even European fans list, because I already saw some pictures with Saras failing in 4 Final Four appearances as the head coach.
4?
With Žalgiris, but I'm not counting this one because it's...
Žalgiris failing in the Final Four is not a correct sentence you would write. And Žalgiris in the Final Four is a win already. Look, definitely it looks bad. Losing against Real Madrid without Yabusele, and Poirier, you can't spin it any other way. Nikola Mirotic plays bad. Your team does not execute. Your team is nervous. Whatever way you put it, it looks bad. There's no arguing in that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case after the season, because Barca's
it makes sense from an emotional side, I would say. As you mentioned, you lose 2 El Clásicos in a row in the Final Four where you were supposed to win. Last year, because Madrid was also pretty down, and this year,
last year you could argue, but this semifinal obviously is one game, as we have said millions of times. But with this depleted Madrid's roster, I wouldn't be surprised if Barca's front office feels desperate to make a change, because if Saras can't win with this team against a team without Yabusele and Poirier in the front and Cornelier in the front court, then I could see that happening. Obviously, I think they will wait until the end of the season and see what happens in the ACB League finals. If they win those, maybe they change their mind. But I think this one really will stick to front office, and probably they will have to make a decision.
To be honest, I really think that the bigger problem is not the coaching. Once again, I will repeat myself that what can you do else for Nikola Mirotic? What looks you have to create for him to hit more than 1 of 10.
It's more about the emotional.
You don't have your main facilitator on the backcourt as Corey Higgins is, and I think that in some positions they were loaded too much. I mean, with Toby, Shanli, Vesely, Mirotic, for me, they were just too big. And for instance, Toby can stretch the floor, but he's not playing in a game where you really need to stretch the floor and kill them at the pick and pop situations, and your other 2 bigs are failing badly. Then there were some other positions. They just spent a lot of money. They had depth, but I would say they lacked elite class talent in some of these positions.
I agree. But it's
at the same time,
it's crazy how one game changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes the narrative. It's ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would understand if the front office wants to start a new page to refresh, because it's not easy to anybody to be together for 3 years. Either if you're a head coach and the player, either you're a couple. 3 year is a turning point of your situation. So if there is a good replacement on the market, naturally you can go for a fresh start. I think that, objectively speaking, I think that Saras did a good job, and 3 consecutive Final Four appearances is a big thing. As you mentioned, a lot of things can happen in single game.
But yeah, you still expect to win at least one, though.
That's true. And you invest a lot of money to win it. I just think that you should invest differently in your roster, not in the coaching staff. I think that's where I see more problems, not on the coaching staff. But again, what's interesting that there are a lot of wild rumors about the market. That includes head coaches, that includes even Coach Jasikevičius, includes some other coaches who could be interesting for Barca. That also includes some big-time players that could switch teams, including some of these Final Four teams. Of course,
you're talking right now players or coaches only?
Everyone, man.
Everyone.
Market can get really wild from what I hear. I just don't want to speculate because I've just got these rumors this morning. It needs a lot of confirmations because they sound really crazy.
Can't wait to finish the spot so I can hear those.
And the whole picture can change dramatically. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's enjoy the Final Four. Let's keep the drama and our predictions for tomorrow's live or bonus podcast from BasketNews. Friends Zone. If you are here in Kaunas, really visit that Friend Zone, which is basically across the street of the Žalgirio Arena
in Madrid.
Yeah. What's very nice that we saw so many different friends, not from the Final Four participants. Guy from actually mental coach from Italy approached us. There were even Olympiacos fans coming from Belgium, for instance. Turkish fans coming with nice gifts. We would appreciate even more gifts if you have. I would get this Jugoplastika jersey on our studio. I saw there's one guy with Jugoplastika.
Tony Kukoc jersey.
Yeah, looks brilliant. So yeah. Visit our fan zone. You can watch games there. We have food trucks. There are drinks, a lot of games. You can win some prizes. So yeah, just enjoy this amazing celebration in Kaunas. You could really feel all day long from early morning to late night that it's a huge basketball celebration here in Kaunas. It's great to have this event so close to our home.
And let's, see tomorrow for the final predictions. We will talk about Olympiacos and Real.
Before you can make your own predictions so that we will be able to read your predictions and to think what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, if you write right now in the comments what you think about tomorrow's finals, we will probably include some of those in the live chat that we will have.
Okay.
And maybe speculate on your maybe tactics or what could work, what could not work, what are the most important points. So yeah, until tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, thank you all, and follow basketnews.com for this Final Four event.